A little girl in elementary school was sexually assaulted on her fourth grade trip to the beach, and no one did anything about it. Not the adults that were there to protect her, right? The teachers were there. This is a trip where parents are forbidden of attending and being chaperones because the teachers convince us that we're going to keep the kids safe. We've been doing this for years. Well, y'all failed. Here's what they did do. They forced that little girl to sit with said abuser and hear his apology. They forced her to sit with him and accept the apology and then hug it out. It's very Quaker-like. They also forced the other boy who orchestrated this, right? Because they all heard, it was reported back to them that they were talking about this and that they had a plan before it actually happened, right? They allowed that boy to remain on the trip. If you saw my video from a few weeks ago, I'm talking about how some of y'all parents are raising boys to be rapists. Here's part 2. I was right. I'm talking about Abington Friends School. If you take a look at my first pin video, you hear me talk about how they traumatized my black daughter. The white nurse forced my black daughter to dig in a dirty toilet. And the head of school, Rich Norrie, maintains that it was not an act of racism, nor was it an act of abuse. This was retaliation because I told the truth about this place being racist. And so they harmed my child to weaponize her against me, to harm me. This is the same thing that's happening with the little girl that was sexually assaulted. They're all mandated reporters and nobody called crisis. Those teachers that were on that trip, they are mandated to call Childline. In the state of Pennsylvania, Abington Friends School was like 15 minutes outside of Philadelphia. They are mandated reporters and not one of those teachers called Childline. Andrea, she called Childline nearly a day later, and that was because she was being forced to by one of the parents, who also knows the inner workings of that school. When I tell you that children are not safe in these institutions, you have all the evidence to believe it. Because here's the other thing with this trip and the incident that happened to this girl. The parent of this little girl, she had already reached out weeks before and talking about who masterminded this, saying that he was talking about grape. He was talking about corn. And he was saying things like, my girlfriend is so horny. And nothing was done. It's in writing. The evidence is there. And this is the thing. Just yesterday, I was talking about the Southern Christian, Baptist, whatever, eliminating women from their spaces. But here's the thing with religion. These meeting houses, the Quakers, they are no different than the Catholics. They abuse children, women, people of color, and they hide it. They try to prop themselves up as abolitionists. No. Y'all are liars, you're abusers, and you hide the secret. You insulate your little religious sect, right? The meeting house in the church, so that anything that gets reported, anything that gets elevated, gets silenced. And this is why Zora Neale Hurston wrote, if you're silent about your pain, they'll kill you and say you enjoyed it. Talk about it. Name them. Andrea Emmons, you need to go. You got what you needed. You wanted your son to graduate with little debt. He's graduating today. You need to kick rocks today. And miss me with I can't be racist because I'm married to a Korean. You're the prototype. The evidence is there. This little boy that we see on the playground dragging girls across the playground lot, that's been reported. Crickets on that. This little boy who bullies everyone, nothing ever happens. Nothing ever happens. And this is why that entire cohort is traumatized by him. And some of y'all boys are going to be rapists just like him because they're afraid of him. Keep telling the truth and get rid of these monsters who intend to harm children.